This is TW Battles doing online commentary for Napoleon Total War. I am the Prussians and my opponent, Great Britain. Let's take a look at my army. I have a 7-pounder howitzer unit, some Landwehr, some Silesian Schützen, tons of units of musketeers, probably 5 to 6 units of them, some hussars. There's my general staff. Some grenadiers, foot guards, 12-pounder foot artillery, cuirassiers, lancers, and a unit of Jaegers. And you can see I'm rushing all my units forward there, trying to get them across the bridge to face the British advance. Let's take a look at the British. Some rifles, 6-pounder horse artillery, some dragoons, fencibles, which are a basic militia unit, some foot guards, Highland foot, there's the general staff, some foot units, another Highland foot unit, a 5-inch howitzer that's going to play an important role in this battle, a unit of dragoons, rifle, and some cuirassiers. And you can see here my guys are already taking some artillery fire. Rushing a bunch of units across the bridge there. 2 units on one flank and 4 units on my left flank. And you can see immediately I'm going to be met by the British cavalry here. These are the light dragoons. And immediately when I see this, I form both of my units into square. I probably saw it right around this time right here, and although the attack had already begun, I was able to quickly form both of those units into square, and that was able to repel this cavalry attack. There you are, interlocking squares. You can see a bunch of those horses are trapped in the middle there, while the rest of my units are firing on the rest of the horses there. So you can see how effective that square unit can be, even if you form it late, which was the case with myself in that instance. You can see there I'm facing an attack by some more cavalry, some dragoons. I was not aware when I started this map that this water was shallow enough to run across, not only at narrow points, but really at any point. So my deployment right off the bat was really, based on getting my units across these 2 narrow bridges. I certainly would have had a different strategy had I known that, but I've never played this map here. The map is Dresden. Okay, you can see the British pushing their forces forward here. I was able to get a foothold on this side of the water with a bunch of my units. You can see here I've routed and/or killed all those horses, so that was a good move right there. I'm advancing on my extreme right, my Silesian Schützen, against these units. Again, I didn't know that these units can make it across the water. I had planned on firing across the water at some British units, so this changed my strategy just a little bit. It's my Silesian Schützen against the rifle units, both elite kind of skirmishing units with extreme range and accuracy and reload times. They're pretty comparable units. The British may be just a little better in stuff like reload time. There's my Landwehr facing off against the Highland foot. That's not a battle I'm going to win too often. That's a militia unit against a line infantry unit. And that's not really going to go too well for me. Here's my musketeers. And they're getting some volleys off against the British units up ahead. And one of the biggest issues I had with this particular map was it's very spread out. You are limited by geography as to where you can move your troops. And the other thing is I'm playing with very large unit sizes. I think I have close to 4,500 soldiers, so it was really tight in some of the quarters, especially in the city, and being able to maneuver my units and get them set up to fire in an effective way. And that was one of my biggest challenges. So very early I'm sending my my cavalry against this 6-pounder horse artillery. It's usually a strategy of mine to take out artillery as early as possible in the battle. And as you'll see in this battle later, it plays a pivotal role, perhaps a critical role in the outcome of the battle. So right here, I'm lining up against this Fencibles unit of British, getting some volleys off there. You can see that unit on the left there real quickly. They were marked in red. I was able to tuck them behind that building so that they could regroup. You can see the Great Britain is throwing 3 units at my 1 there, and my 1-foot unit is not going to be able to hold out for all that long. And there's my Lancers waiting in the wings. Okay, so I was able to take out that cavalry, and they were either routed or killed. And right here, or maybe it's a little later on in the battle, we'll go back to that. Okay, so I'm advancing some of my units forward here. You can see my Lancers are really anxious to get through my Grenadier line here to get at some of this infantry. There's my general unit safely tucked behind that building. I will advance them up later. You can see this giant mess here. This is just a ton of soldiers here. I would have preferred to stay in in lines and firing at the enemy, but I was melee attacked here. I believe it's their 3 units to my 2. My Landwehr, which are a pretty weak militia unit, and my Musketeers up against a bunch of these British units. And you can see here in slow-mo, this is some pretty impressive action right here. You can only imagine the horror of being in the middle of that scrum in the middle there. You can see here some of my Musketeer units are getting off some shots at this British unit advancing. You can see my blood mod there. We get a little puff of blood with gunshots. Really like that. There you go. You see a little bit more of that. Some of my units getting hit. I think it adds a little something to the battle. I mean, just a little more realism. It's amazing to me how that stuff is not originally built into these games. But I can understand, considering, part of the people who play these games are younger than should be seeing, blood and battles and that type of stuff. So here are my cuirassiers. And what happened here was I saw the general staff, and I made a go at them. And this isn't normally a move I would make. But you could see them there to the left center. And for some reason, my cavalry, instead of going after the general staff that's making their way across the water here, somehow got engaged with this unit. I'm positive I had them charged at the general staff, and I'm very disappointed in what happened there, because that could have been a really decisive point in the battle, me killing their generals so early. It would have been a morale, it would have been a huge morale boost for my troops, a morale drop for the British, and for some reason, once I sent those horses towards the general staff, I went to another section of the map, and I hadn't realized that they had gotten caught up there. So that was really disappointing to me, other than the fact that my cavalry units stayed engaged, and for the most part got decimated on that wing. So here's some slow-mo of some of that action there. You see that guy with that mop-looking thing on his head seems to be leading his troops there. There's that British piece of artillery that I have not yet taken out, just ripping holes in my line there. I formed a pretty strong line here to stop the advance of the British across this bridge, and you'll see as the battle goes on the importance of that bridge and the importance of that British artillery piece, which will continue to rip holes in my lines at that particular spot. You can see here, for some reason, even considering our lines, my rifles and, the British rifles and my Silesian Schützen were pretty comparable units. I'm not sure how the British on that wing got the best of my Silesian Schützen, in such a dominating way, but they really did. Maybe my artillery was firing into my Schutzen, I'm not sure, but really that unit should have done better against those British rifles.